Canada's spat with India is entering a new phase. Ottawa is changing its approach. They're trying to reclaim the narrative from verbal volleys. Canada is shifting to selective leaks. Some stories have come out today, all with source-based information. They're attributed to the Government of Canada. None of these officials is speaking on record. Different Western media outlets have published these stories, all with similar conclusions. Broadly, there are three takeaways. One, Canada is apparently sitting on clinching evidence. There is some secret intelligence, and it's been gathered through questionable means. Two, their Western allies are helping them. They're feeding more intelligence to Ottawa. And three, they're making demands from India, not just Trudeau. Apparently, Joe Biden too raised this with Prime Minister Modi. And what was India's response? We'll discuss that. Let's start with the leaks. The first one came from Canada itself. Their public broadcaster published this. It basically says Canada is not lying. It does have intelligence. But what kind of intelligence? Both human and signals intelligence. Apparently enough to establish a link between India and the death of Nijjar. Now, a quick recap here. Canada is investigating the death of this man, Hardeep Singh Nijjar. He died in a shooting incident in the month of June this year. He is a Khalistani, a sanctioned terrorist. He ran a banned terrorist outfit out of Canada. Nijjar was also involved in the Khalistan referendum. He was whipping up support for the breakup of India and for a separate Khalistani state for Sikhs. Now, this is a separatist terrorist campaign. Canada is giving such groups a safe haven. And now it says it has credible intelligence linking India to Nijjar's death. This report was published today. It talks about the intelligence gathered so far. And what kind of proof does Canada have? We do not know that. Not yet. The report does not give details. All it says is Ottawa has proof against Indian diplomats. It has communications which could be relevant to this case. That's all. Now, two problems with the so-called proof. One, the world still doesn't know what it is. And if and when it does come out, it will have to be scrutinized. Problem number two, were Indian diplomats snooped upon? It seems that they were. Indian diplomats were being watched in Canada, not just by Canadian sleuths, but also by Canada's allies. We are talking about the Five Eyes, the intelligence sharing alliance, Canada, the US, the UK, Australia, and New Zealand. These are the Five Eyes members. Reports say one of these Five Eyes members had intel about Indian diplomats and they passed it on to Canada. Is that legal? Can diplomats be spied upon? Do they not enjoy certain protections? Well, they do. Diplomats have special rights. Their rights are spelled out in the Vienna Convention. It doesn't say very much about spying in particular, but it does talk about the protection and privacy of diplomatic missions, diplomatic bags, and diplomats themselves from any persecution and prosecution, rather. Did Canada or its allies violate any of these rules? It's hard to say because we don't really know how they gathered the evidence they claim to have. Yesterday, Justin Trudeau spoke again. He refused to release the evidence, but he called on India to join the investigation.
There is no question that India is a country of growing importance and a country that we need to continue to work with, not just in the region, but around the world. And we're not looking to provoke or cause problems. That's why we call upon the government of India to work with us.
Trudeau is just repeating himself here, while his officials are going around planting stories. Let me show you another one. This is about Canada's claims again. It says Biden discussed the case with Prime Minister Modi and it happened during the G20 summit. So what did Prime Minister Modi tell Joe Biden? That they don't know or they haven't written about. But when the Indian Prime Minister spoke to Justin Trudeau during the very same summit, he rejected his claims. And India has been firm in its rejection. It's unlikely to change. What is America's position? Here's what the White House said.
There's not some special exemption you get for actions like this, regardless of the country. We will stand up and defend our basic principles, and we will also consult closely with allies like Canada as they pursue their law enforcement and diplomatic process.
It's a bit rich coming from the US. What basic principles will they defend? They invaded Iraq, they invaded Afghanistan, they routinely launch drone strikes, they engineer regime changes. Ask Imran Khan. America has mastered the craft of foreign interference. So I'm not sure they are in a position to give special exemptions. But that's another story. We'll save it for another day. For now, we focus on Justin Trudeau. He wants condemnation from the West and cooperation from India for some credible proof he claims to have, but he won't share.